Literature, at its greatest, imparts upon the reader some wisdom for the rest of their lives, some bit of inspiration or anything else of the sort that would make the reader more prepared for the trials and tribulations that they will go through in their day-to-day existence. That is exactly what we have today from Walt Whitman. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I'm Adrian Fort, and today we are going to be looking at a poem from Walt Whitman, incomparable as he is. And so this poem will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one, a playlist of poetry discussions, but number two, a playlist, for Walt Whitman. The poem in question today is known as "O Me, O Life," and it reads as such. O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, of myself forever reproaching myself, for who more foolish than I, and who more faithless? Of eyes that vainly crave the light of objects mean, of the struggle ever renewed, of the poor result of all the plodding and sordid crowds I see around me, of the empty and useless years of the rest, with the rest me intertwined. The question, O me, so sad recurring, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. In my opinion, that literature does make the reader more wise. It is predominantly done so as essentially question, not answer. In the answer here, the answer provided by Walt Whitman, we have another series of questions. That you are here, that life exists and identity. What is your identity? What exists when we speak about you? The powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. This reminds me of two more quotes, but the greatness of literature that provides questions, these questions are to be answered by the individual, by the reader, by the audience, whatever the actual fact may be, whatever you want to, however it is that you wish to refer to yourself. Literature, when it does provide an answer, the answer itself must be questioned. So, much of the malaise that the world of literature has fallen into in the past 70-ish years, I would venture to wager, when that answer is provided by you, the literature transforms from literature into propaganda, from art into propaganda. My definition of art is that it allows interpretation by its consumer. I say consumer, not in the capitalist, late stage capitalist, whatever that means, sort of venue, but rather the fact that when literature provides, when propaganda, provides an actual answer, the answer itself has to be questioned, and then the propaganda can once more transform into art. One of the things that this poem reminds me of comes to us from Shakespeare. All the world's a stage. You've probably heard this quote. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant mewling and puking into the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail unwillingly to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined with eyes severe and beard of formal cut full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slibbered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and a pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his body and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends his strange eventful history in his second childishness and more oblivion, sans teeth, sans eye, sans taste, sans everything. Here we have Shakespeare, in my opinion, spouting much the same as Walt Whitman in O Me, O Life, that we have our part to play, and we have to play it. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? I have often said, if I were to give a loose sort of definition of what I am trying to do, it is to be an agent of change, not a force for good, because the idea of good changes oftentimes. I think that it is better. It is better, in my opinion, to be an agent of change than a force for good. Again, good being one of these encumbered terms, good being something which is malleable. Change is not malleable. In fact, in the nihilistic sense, when we are forcing change, it can be in order to end up back at the same place. But if we end up back at the same place, it is with a renewed vigor, it is with a renewed sense, a renewed sensibility of what is to be what is right. Another quote that this reminds me of comes to us from Horace Mann. Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity. What does this mean, some victory for humanity? Horace Mann was an abolitionist. Seems like a victory to me. When we are reading these little parts of wisdom through literature, when we are getting these small bits of reinforcement from literature into those things that we think we should be doing, we have to take these and move forward. We have to continue to change. This from Walt Whitman, this poem, this small bit of Whitman here, where he refers to himself. So we start off with this endless trains of the faithless. We have here a denouncement of faithlessness. We have Walt Whitman castigating as well the foolish. And just a line later, we have Walt Whitman admitting to being foolish and faithless. Struggling with identity, struggling with religion, struggling with the big questions in life. We have Whitman here both castigating and assuming those same traits. We have Whitman here taking the rugged whip to his own back. This is Whitman telling us that is what you should do. We have Whitman telling us that is part of identity. We have Whitman telling us that is what is perhaps good. If not good, then at least right. To assume principle as good is a very, very slippery slope. It is something which may even be defined as dangerous. But we have here from Whitman these principles being not only good, but agents of change. What is your part in life? What is your existence? What does it mean for you to exist? That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more literature talk. There's poetry on the channel every Monday. I'm going through Hemingway's short stories right now. We are currently reading Carrie by Stephen King, and I have a couple other series from Stephen King that I have to wrap up. But if you are a fan of those sorts of things, consider hitting the subscribe button, stick around for more, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.